Welcome back. Now that we've already done the setup for this problem, I'm going to walk you through the income statement. So preparing the income statement with every financial statement that you're going to prepare for the homework as well as in real life, we're always going to start with a 3-line title. So the first line is always going to be the company name. So we're presenting Full Moon Products, Inc., which was given to us. We are preparing the income statement. The income statement is showing revenues and expenses. And revenues are amounts that are earned from the sale of goods and services, typically. So during a period of time, the company has earned this revenue. And we're going to be comparing that revenue that was earned during that period of time to expenses that have been incurred during that period of time. So business operations, what are we incurring? Our employees are working for us. They're earning salaries and wages. We're using the electricity. We're incurring utilities expense, etc. And we're going to be calculating net income. So this particular problem is just having you do a very simple version of an income statement. What you see in the textbook is the multi-step income statement where we have several subtotals that are calculated. But in this particular problem, it's just going to be taking our revenue and expenses and just doing one subtraction to calculate net income. Net income is showing us the profit during a period of time. So was revenue greater than expenses during this particular year? If revenue is greater than expenses during a year, you're going to earn net income. So let's see if Full Moon Products, Inc. had revenue for the year ended December 31st, 2018. So the last line of our title is the period of time that it relates to. The income statement is for a period of time. So for the year ended December 31st, 2018 was given to us. The first information that goes into our income statement after our title is going to be revenue. So we're going to go over here and remember how we determined what was going to be where. And we're going to go and see if we had any revenue. Let's see. And yes, they had one revenue item, service revenue. So underneath service revenue, underneath revenue, we're just going to write service revenue. And I believe you have a drop-down menu. And we're going to have 2 columns. So there's an inner column and then an outer column. And I'm going to write the amount of service revenue, $, because we're starting this column. $451,600 is the revenue that was earned during the year ended December 31st, 2018. I'm checking it off because I know I'm not going to be using that again. It's earned once, it's reported in the income statement during that year, and it's gone. For expenses, I'm going to do the exact same thing. And they typically do follow the same order that they are given to you, but I'm just going to go a little bit out of order because usually interest expense is not the first expense that you're going to list. So salary expense, $108,900. And I know that when you're entering the information into your homework, it's not going to want you to include the $. It's going to automatically populate the $sign for you, as well as the commas. So just include the numbers, and it'll automatically update with the $sign and the commas for you. For salary expense, it was $108,900. And let's see if we have any other expenses. We have rent expense, $41,000. And honestly, the order doesn't really matter, but sometimes the textbook wants you to because we have software engineers that are creating it. So if it tells you to follow a certain order, definitely use that for the homework. For interest expense, we have $10,000. Interest expense is a non-operating expense that's incurred from borrowing money. So that's usually left for the very end, right before income tax expense. But in this case, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to include it now so I don't forget it. Let's see. We got salary. We got interest expense. There's nothing more in that first column. We have property tax expense and then utilities expense left over. So property tax expense. And with these expenses, once they're incurred and we report them, we're never going to see them again unless we incur them again in a future period. So we expense it and it's gone. Property tax was $7,300, and then I believe the last one we have is utilities expense. And utilities expense for the period was $8,100. I'm just going to do a single underline here. And I believe what they're going to have you do is have an extra line. You're going to put total expenses. Okay. And what it's going to have you do is add up all of these expenses. So I can just put A, and from your math classes, I'm going to do a little sum of A. And I'm going to list the total expenses, the sum of these A's, right underneath my service revenue amount. So after I add up salary expense, rent expense, interest expense, etc., I'm going to equal, just have to do it, $175,300. I'm going to do a single underline. And right now you can see that revenue is much higher than total expenses. I'm going to take service revenue of $451,600 minus total expenses of $175,300 to equal net income. And it's going to be net income or a profit of the difference. So I'm going to label service revenue as B, and I'm going to label total expenses as C, and I'm going to take B minus C, revenue minus expenses, to equal net income for the period. And net income is going to be $276,300. So the mathematics isn't too bad. It's just some adding and subtracting. The formatting, you're going to take some time to get used to. I completely understand that. This is a single step income statement. Revenue is revenue is added together. If they had two revenue items, they would be added up above. And then you're taking all of your expenses and subtracting it once to calculate net income. There are no subtotals. For the income statement, we're showing how much profit or potentially loss the company had if their expenses were greater than their revenues during a particular period of time. We prepare our income statement first because we need net income to calculate the ending balance of retained earnings, as well as to be used as a starting point in our statement of cash flow when we're using the indirect method. So I'm going to end here. I hope you enjoyed learning about the income statement, and next step is the statement of retained earnings. Good luck. See you later.